Okay, thank you for joining my YouTube channel. Here we are, day number 7, discussing and shining light on darkness and lies. So, the title of this one is Why Money Gets Blamed for Evil, but it's really about us. Okay? Question I have for you is money really the root of all evil, or is it something deeper? Something in us that causes money to bring so much trouble into our lives. This is a touchy subject for most, but let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation about it, right? It shouldn't be that controversial, right? It's just paper. It's money, right? And before that, we were talking about gold and silver. So let's talk about money. It's one of the most talked about topics in life, whether personal finances, business, marriages, or even the assemblies in church. And yet, conversations about money often get uncomfortable at times. Why is that? To get to the root of the question, let's start at the very beginning in the Garden of Eden. Okay? Let's go to Genesis chapter 2, verse 11 and 12. Let's get really spicy, okay? Let's see. Genesis chapter 2, verse 11 and 12 will be coming up on the screen. Boom. Here we go. So it says the name of the first is Pison. That is it which compasses the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. And the gold that is in that land is good. And there is bdellium and the onyx stone. So he starts off saying that the gold in that land is good. So we're in the Garden of Eden and we have gold. So he did not say it was evil, but he said it was good. So there's something important as to why Jehovah, God created wealth in abundance. Okay? And he also declared it good. But he also made it clear that it was man's role to be a steward of his creation. The word dress in context means to serve, while keep, because he said to dress it and keep it, dress means to serve, and to keep it usually means to guard it, to protect it, or to preserve it. Okay, so a steward or a servant must serve and protect, right? So there's gold in the garden. What do you need the gold for? Were they did they have to go to the store to go buy something, or is there an abundance in the garden and this is just inherently who God is? Okay? I think it's the latter. He's the Elohim of abundance and opulence. He provides and protects. This is who he is. Okay? So, so we see that Yah owns everything and he entrusts us with his resources. Okay? Deuteronomy 8:18. Check this out. Deuteronomy 18 is going to remind us that it is Yah who gives us the power to gain wealth. Important. Let's see. Pop this. Deuteronomy 8:18. Boom. But you shall remember Yehovah your El, for it is he that gives you power to get wealth, that he may establish his covenant, which he sware unto your fathers as it is this day. So you see, he gives us power to get wealth. Okay? King David, we'll see, and I'm just reading you examples. King David, we'll see that it reads, he gives all riches and honor, and it comes from Yehovah, comes from God. Check this out. Remember, he owns everything. All is his. You can't give him anything. He doesn't want anything from you. Okay? Which we'll learn later on. First Chronicles. And we're going to be in chapter 29, verse 11 to 14. Boom. It says, yours, O Yehovah, is the greatness, the power, and the glory, the victory, and the majesty. For all that is in the heaven and in the earth is yours. Yours is the kingdom, O Yehovah, and you are exalted as head above all. All is his in the heaven and the earth. We mentioned that gold was in the earth. Okay? It's his. Okay? We didn't need it. We needed to buy anything. It was just there. Okay? It was provided for us. Okay? All right. Let's go to Psalms 24, 1 to 2. Okay? This will challenge a lot of people's beliefs and money, and that's okay. You can hold true to your beliefs, and that's perfectly fine. I've just chose to believe his word, and his word is true. And every time I apply his principles. 24 and 1. Okay, reads this. The earth is Jehovah's, it's the Lord's, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. For he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. The whole world is his. He owns everything. What possibly do you think you could give him? All his creation is his. He created it. Okay? And they that dwell therein. So aren't you creation? Okay? You are creation. What does he want from you is the question, right? So we see the earth and everything in it belongs to him. For even our bodies are not our own. They were bought with a price, right? Remember that's over in 1 Corinthians 6, 19 through 20. Talks about that we were bought with a price. Okay? So if wealth isn't evil, what is the problem? right? What are we talking about? If wealth isn't evil, what's the problem? So let's talk about biblical wealth, or what he deems wealth, versus ungodly attitudes towards wealth. Okay? If money were inherently evil, Jehovah wouldn't have blessed us, his faithful servants, with it. So let's take a look at some examples. Abraham says he was wealthy in livestock, silver, and gold. And it went further to say he was very rich, not just rich, very rich. Let's go to Genesis 13 and see. There's something going going on here, and there's a ongoing theme throughout the whole book. Okay, so we're just gonna get some context. Genesis 13 and 2. Well, let me just pull up the whole thing. Okay, there it goes, right there on the screen. And Abram was very rich in cattle and silver and gold. This didn't say rich, it said very rich. Let's go to another example. Jacob. Okay, we're talking about the founding fathers of the faith. First, we start with Abraham. Now we're talking about Jacob. We're talking about the founding fathers of the faith. So, if it wasn't inherently evil, why would the founding fathers have it? And have it in abundance too, at that. It was very rich. So, let's see. So, we got Jacob. Jacob became exceedingly prosperous, right? We know he acquired large flocks, servants, camels, and even donkeys. And of course, the handmaids, the four wives, the two wives, and the handmaids, right? So he was very prosperous. Genesis chapter 30 and 43. So Genesis 30, 43. Boom. It says, and the man increased exceedingly and had much cattle and maidservants and men servants, camels and asses. So, how much wealth or riches do you need to have maid servants and men servants? And not just a camel, but had camels and asses. And it says exceedingly. When something exceeds, it means it's just abundant. It's an overflow. It exceeded. It's pouring over. Okay. Job. We know the story of Job, right? Job was described as the greatest man in the East and had vast wealth, right? Let's go to Job chapter 1. We know these stories. We've read them over and over and over again. So why believe the lies, right? 'Cause it's already pointing it out. Why believe what your pastor, your preacher, your apostle, your priest is saying about money, or even the beliefs that you were brought up with, based on say your surroundings and things around you? Is this what you saw, right? But this is the truth. So let's focus on the truth and discard the lies. Okay? Job, chapter 3. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she asses, and very great households, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for the three sisters to eat and drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feastings were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, rose up early in the morning, offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, it may be that my sons have sinned and cursed Yah in their hearts, in their minds. Thus did Job continually. Okay? So we see he had great substance and a very great household. Okay? Sure, he had some men servants and maid servants to run his household. Okay? David, right? We're going to read about David and King Solomon. They had wealth. I mean, remember, David was a man after Yah's own heart, God's own heart. Now that should make you think. He was a very faithful brother. First Chronicles. And you can learn something from each one of those testimonies to see how they managed their wealth. They were stewards. Okay? They were stewards. By the time we're done today, you're going to know what it means to be a steward. Boom. He died in a good old age, full of days, riches, and honor, and Solomon his son reigned in his stead. Now the acts of David the king, first and last, behold, they are written in the book of Samuel the seer, and in the book of Nathan the prophet, and in the book of Gad the seer. I don't know where these books are, but they're not actually in the Bible we know today, right? But I don't know where these books are, except for Samuel. With all his reign and his might, at the times that went over him and over Israel and over all the kingdoms of the countries. But it starts out with full of days, riches, and honor. Solomon. So we got to go to First Kings because he was a king, right? So First Kings 10 and 23. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches and for wisdom. He was known for his wisdom and his riches. And actually, if you read the scriptures very closely, you can see that people paid him for his wisdom. Okay? I just gave you a gem. People paid him for his wisdom. So it's not evil if you charge people or have people pay you for your wisdom. Okay? So these examples alone prove that wealth isn't the issue. The real issue is our attitude towards the money. Okay? Towards wealth. Or should I say wealth building. not just money, but wealth building, wealth preservation. Because remember, we told you what keeping and dressing the garden actually is. Dressing means you're a servant, and keeping means you're preserving it, you're guarding it. Okay? These are key tenets to being a good steward, not just spending your money left and right, blowing it on every single thing that your heart desires. Getting the bling bling, putting the rims on the car, got the fancy clothes. You look like you have money, but your attitude is terrible. So, Yeshua, Jesus warned us in Luke 16:13 that no one can serve two masters. I'm going to focus on this real quick because I thought about this today. No one can serve two masters. Huh. Let's see. Luke 16:13. Okay. Remember, we started off with servant. No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve Yah and Mammon. That word Mammon will translate into money. So, you cannot serve both Yehovah and money. If Yah isn't our master, then the money will be your master. And it becomes a cruel master at that because you become a slave to it. And if you have to slave for money to meet means ends, this is a whole nother situation. But money should not be your master. And you can't serve Jehovah if you serve money. So I got to thinking about this, right? Money is a poor master, right? If Yeshua or God is not your master, then money is going to be your master, which means whatever sin or whatever vice you have, this means you will serve that and worship that with the money that Yah had created, right? So the problem with that is that you use the money to get you there much faster. So if I'm a drunk, I become a drunkard and I'm spilling over at the seams to the point where I'm selling my house and I'm doing things in orderly to get the alcohol, right? So it pushes you there much faster. That's all money does. It just pushes you into iniquity that much faster. And it will be harder to get free from it because you have transgressed and chosen to willfully sin, which leads to iniquity. That's why this is a poor master. It's not even a master. Check this out. Let's go to Paul in Romans because he explains something about whatever you obey, that you become slaves to. Let's go to Romans 6. Romans 6 and verse 16 to 22. Okay? Remember, I said if your master is money, you're serving it, right? You're a slave to it. Watch this. Know ye not that to whom you yield yourselves servants to, you obey? His servants you are to whom you obey, whether of sin unto death, or of obedience unto righteousness. Which one is it? But Jehovah be thanked that you were the servants of sin, but you have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered to you. Being then made free from sin, you became servants of righteousness. 19. I speak after the manner of men, because of the infirmity of your flesh. For as you have yielded your members servants to uncleanness and to iniquity unto iniquity, iniquity unto iniquity unto iniquity, right? Twofold. Even so now yield your members servants to righteousness unto holiness. For when you were the servants of sin, you were made free from righteousness. What fruit had you then in those things whereof you are now ashamed? For the end of those things is death. But now being made from sin, free from sin, and became servants to Yahweh, you have your fruit unto holiness, and the end everlasting life. Here's the problem with money. And this is a known fact, right? You could do your research. If you, let's say you have a sin in a certain area, and you have wealth to attain the things that you have sin in, what do you think happens after a year or two of constantly thriving in your sin? Don't you think don't you think that industries know that there are weak people out there, that you are the merchandise, that your flesh is really that weak? So whatever you have a desire for, there's somebody selling it to you. And money is just a tool. It's a medium of exchange. So we just read how we became slaves to whatever we obey. So if you obey the money and that's your master, then you just yielded your members over to money. So when people put their trust in riches rather than in Jehovah, they end up spiritually bankrupt. Consider these warnings. Let's read the warnings. Okay. Let's go to the parable of the rich fool. That's going to be in Luke chapter 12. And we're going to read 13 to 21. Okay. And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother that he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, Who made me a judge or a divider over you? And he said unto him, sorry, here we go. 15. Forgot to put it back on the screen. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness. For a man's life consists not in the abundance of the things which he possesses. Right? It's a mindset. Take heed and beware of covetousness. What is covetousness? It's envious. For man's life consists not in the abundance of the things that he possesses. And he spake a parable unto them, saying, for the ground of a certain man brought forth plentifully. And he thought within himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he thought within himself, he's having a conversation with himself, saying, what shall I do, because I have no room where to bestow my fruits? And he said, this will I do. This is what I'm going to do. I will pull down my barns, build greater ones, and there will I bestow all my fruits and my goods. And I will say to my soul, soul, it's like when I say self, I will say to my soul, soul, you have much goods laid up for many years. Take your ease, go eat, drink, and be merry. But Jehovah said unto him, you fool, this night your soul shall be required of you. Then whose shall those things be which you have provided? Meaning, everything that you have, who's that going to go to? You fool. Here we go. If death was to take this man tomorrow, this type of person tomorrow, the question is, who are those things going to go to? What you have provided, all these treasures, right? So let's go to 21. So, is he that lays up treasure for himself and is not rich towards Yah? Unto his disciples. Well, let's just stop there. So that's the parable of the rich fool, right? The rich fool asks himself a question, self, I got a lot of goods stored up for many years. Let me just relax, ease up a little bit. Let me go eat, drink, and be merry, right? And let me go build some bigger barns so that way I can store all my fruits and my goods. Did you read 21? So is he that lays up treasure for himself. He did it for himself and is not rich towards Yah. See, people put their trust in riches rather than Yah. This is the problem. You're not rich toward Yah, but you put your trust and you store up your wealth for yourselves. And we're going to learn later on what happens to those. What happens to those type of people that like to sit on every penny and watch their savings account grow. Huh? Let's go to Matthew 6. 6:19. And we're going to read to 20:21. See? Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth. He didn't say lay not up treasures upon earth. He just said lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. So he says, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust does corrupt, and where thieves do not break through to steal. Right here. For where your treasure is, there will your mind be also. What is he saying? Don't store up treasures for yourselves on earth like the rich fool, but store up your treasures in heaven, because if you store them up on earth, it'll just grow moss on it. It will rust, and it does corrupt. And thieves will break through, and steal, because they know you have wealth stored up. So they're going to come knocking on your door first. But he says, lay up treasures for yourself in heaven, where no moss, no rust does corrupt it, and no thieves can break in to steal it either. For where your treasure is, there your mind will be also. See, that goes hand in hand with who you serve. Who is your master? Is money your master, or is Jehovah your master? Okay, who's going to break in? If Jehovah is your master, how are they going to break in to take your riches, to take your treasures that are stored up in heaven? We'll learn later on how you store up your treasures in heaven. But is it even possible? Absolutely not. But if you store it up for yourselves, I guarantee you it'll be taken. Mark 4:19. And it might not be taken from a man on the outside. It might be taken from somebody on the inside, right? You do all you can for your children's children, and it could be your grandchildren that blow the wealth, right? I'm not just saying somebody from the outside is going to break in. Maybe it's an insider. They don't know what it takes for you to grow wealth. They'll just blow it. Here we go. And the cares of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, and the lusts of other things enter in, choke the word, and it becomes unfruitful. Wealth is deceitful. If you don't know how to use money, and your mindset towards money, your attitude towards money will ruin you. It will choke you out. It will choke the word and make you unfruitful. So if you love money more than Yah, if you love money more than God, it becomes your idol. And that's what's going to lead you to destruction. It's going to lead us to destruction. So, what are the dangers of loving money then? Okay, because there are some dangers. There's the good side, which I explained above, but there's also an evil side of loving money. Let's get the balance, right? Because the reason I do things with a weight and balance is because nothing is going to be on the opposite end of the spectrums, right? You got the church telling the poor man how to get prosperity, and you have the other side of the church, the other pastors, not all, but many pastors giving the prosperity gospel and saying that you are a child of God, so you have access to all this wealth. Where's the middle ground? The church subject is another topic. That's a whole other thing. I'm not going to even go into that bag. Let's just focus right here in the middle, okay? Because that's another whole nother topic. Okay. So, what are the warnings about money? About loving money? Let's go to Job. He'll tell you. Job 27, 16 through 17. Though he heap up silver as the dust, and prepare raiment as the clay, he may prepare it, but the just shall put it on, and the innocent shall divide the silver. So, yeah, go ahead and heap up your silver like dust. You know, dust is very fine and small, like sand. You want to heap it up, right? Heap up piles of silver. But the righteous will eventually receive it back again, right? If you're wicked and evil and you're trying to heap up silver and gathering raiment like clay, it's going to be given away, okay? Either way, it's going to be given away. Psalms 39 and 6. I've seen this happen in my lifetime. Psalms 39 and 6 says this: Surely every man walks in vain, in a vain show. Surely they are disquieted in vain. He heaps up riches and knows not who shall gather them. You go through life accumulating wealth, not knowing who will end up with it. I just gave an example. Anything can happen. It could be that grandchild just waiting and just waiting to get his inheritance, to go out and squander it and run it to the ground. I've seen land get inherited or wealth get inherited, and that child just goes out and lives or riots his life and ruins all that wealth. He just runs it to the ground, using it like toilet paper. Okay. Psalms 52, 52, and verse 5. There we go. Jehovah shall likewise destroy you forever. He shall take you away and pluck you out of your dwelling place and root you out of the land of the living. The righteous also shall see and fear and shall laugh at him. Lo, this is the man that made not Jehovah his strength, but trusted in the abundance of his riches, and strengthened himself in his wickedness. I told you what the money was used for. If you're wicked and evil, if money's your master, it only strengthens you in your wickedness. It just speeds it up. It gets you there much faster. just makes your thievery more obvious. Proverbs 11:4. I so badly want to segue into the church, but I'm not going to do that. That's a whole nother topic. Proverbs 11 and verse 4. Riches profit not in the day of wrath. Stop. Your riches can't buy you a ticket to heaven. Can't save you. Can't do nothing for you. It's not a savior. But it says, but righteousness delivers from death. Hmm. It did not say that you could have riches. You could be righteous and have riches, right? Absolutely. We saw, and I gave you examples of righteous man with riches. That's not what's evil. This right here, on the other hand, is what's evil. You think that your riches will save you, but I got news for you. There is no repentance in the grave. There's no salvation there. What's your riches going to do? Ecclesiastes. You know why I like Ecclesiastes? Ecclesiastes is special because Solomon went he went through three phases, right? When he first started out, he obeyed and served the Most High, and then, of course, he fell, right? And then he came back and repented, and then came back to the Most High. Then he wrote Ecclesiastes. Now, Ecclesiastes is where he says, "Vanities of vanities, everything is vain." We're going to tell you some things here in Ecclesiastes. He learned a very valuable lesson. And if anybody, listen to him because he's done it all, right? He was the wealthiest and most wisest king, aside from Yeshua, Jesus, of course, but he was the wisest and richest king. Ecclesiastes 18 to 22, chapter 2, 18 to 22. And it reads, yes, I hated all my labor which I had taken under the sun, because I shall leave it unto the man that shall be after me. You see? And who knows whether he shall be a wise man or a fool? He did all of that. He accumulated all that wealth. And the man after him, he doesn't even know if he's going to be a wise or a fool man to get his wealth. Yet shall he have rule over all my labor wherein I have labored, and wherein I have showed myself wise under the sun? This is also vanity, vain. Therefore, I went about to cause my mind to despair of all the labor which I took under the sun. For there is a man whose labor is in wisdom, and in knowledge, and in equity. Yet to another man that has not labored therein, shall he leave it for his portion? This also is vanity and a great evil. For what has man of all his labor and vexation of his heart, of his mind, wherein he has labored under the sun? Solomon is lamenting over the futility of working so hard to accumulate wealth, only to leave it behind. He said it's vanity, it's vain. Ay, ay, ay. Two, let me see. Okay. Take it from the words of Solomon. He has seen 100 times more than you have, you know. Um, Again, that's what wealth does. And he has been through it all. And he repented and came back to Yah. And he's telling you what is vain about it. Let's go to James 5. James, one of my favorite books. He's just real raw with his words. Straight no chaser. That's James. Here we go. Go to now, you rich men. Weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth eaten. Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it would fire. Yes, you have heaped treasure together for the last days. Behold the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud. Cries and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of Jehovah of Sabaoth. You have lived in pleasure on the earth and been wanton. Yes, you have nourished your hearts, your minds, as in the day of slaughter. James is warning those who, those rich men who hoard wealth and exploit others, and that misery is coming upon these type of men. We're seeing that today, aren't we? So, we always hear this verse, right? About loving money. I just told you the dangers. Let's go to 1 Timothy 6 and read that one. That's the one many people quote. Let's see what we can learn. 1 Timothy 6. And we'll start from 1, and we're going to go all the way down to 10. Let as many servants as are under the yoke count their own masters worthy of all honor, that the name of Jehovah and his doctrine be not blasphemed. So if you have a master's, if you do have a master or a head or somebody that's watching over your souls, count him worthy of all honor, because he's given his honor and his praise to Jehovah and his name. and his doctrine be not blasphemed. So this is what this is about. Okay? Blaspheming his doctrine. Shining light on the lies and darkness. And they that have believing masters, let them not despise them, because they are your brothers, but rather do them service, because they are faithful and beloved, partakers of the benefits. These things teach and exhort. Okay? He's talking about the heads of the assembly. If any man teach otherwise, and consent not to wholesome words, even the words of our Adon Yeshua HaMashiach, and to the doctrine which is according to godliness. This man is proud, knowing nothing, but doting about questions and strifes of words, whereof comes envy, strife, railings, evil surmisings, perverse disputings of men of corrupt minds and destitute of the truth, supposing that gain is godliness. From such withdraw yourself. Supposing that gain is godliness. We just told you your gain without the Most High is dangerous. And it tells you to withdraw yourself from these type of people because they're teaching otherwise against doctrine. And they're not consenting to wholesome words. They're not even following the words of Yeshua HaMashiach and to the doctrine of which is according to godliness. Withdraw. 6. But godliness with contentment is great gain. You get it? Content. Be content. He never said you couldn't live comfortable. He never said you couldn't have wealth or riches, gold, silver, donkeys, maid servants, He never said that. Just be content and don't make it your God. There's so many times I have got accused because, one, I'm an entrepreneur. I run businesses, right? So people believe from looking on the outside that I worship money. No, I know how to steward money, but I never worship money. Don't get it twisted. Okay. Oops. Let's take that back. So, next one says, for we brought nothing into this world, and it is certain we can carry nothing out. Having food and raiment, let us be therewith content. Sounds about right to me, right? We'll get into the next part, right? If you're content and your needs are met, right, you're good. Your family's needs are met. Your children's needs are met. You're thinking about the next generation and your children's children, and you've done all of that. Be content, right? But they that will be rich fall into temptation and a snare, and into many foolish and hurtful lusts, which drown men in destruction and perdition. For the love of money is a root of all evil. It didn't say money is a root of evil. It said for the love of money. If that's your Godhead, if that's your master, and that's who you serve, you love money. And it's telling you that it's the root of all evil. And then it says, which some coveted after, envied after. They have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. But the scripture said that Jehovah maketh rich and he adds no sorrow. So why are these type of people pierced through with many sorrows? Because they love money. How many times do you see people with wealth and riches? They're depressed. They're very sorrowful. Hmm? Yet they have all the money in the world and they just don't have anybody to share it with anybody. But these type of people right here have no understanding of what wealth is really used for. Once I got this piece, my my whole understanding and my concept of money had changed. So, how do you become a faithful steward? Let's see. Let's start with Deuteronomy 15. The reason that this topic is so vast is because there's over 200 scriptures throughout the whole Bible that mentions wealth. And it talks about the good, it talks about the evil, it tells you the who, the what, the where, and the why. It gives you the ins and outs about money. Okay? Let's go to Deuteronomy 15. We're going to read 7 and 11. This is a law. This is a law. If there be among you a poor man of one of your brothers within any of your gates in your land, which Jehovah your Elohim gives you, you shall not harden your heart, nor shut your hand from your poor brother. You shall open your hand wide unto him, and shall surely lend him sufficient for his need, and that which he wants. Not what I want, not what you want, what he wants, what the poor man wants. Sufficient. Beware that there be not a thought in your wicked heart, in your wicked mind, saying, the seventh year, the year of release is at hand, and your eye be evil against your poor brother, and you give him nothing. And he cry unto Yahweh against you, and it be sent unto you. You shall surely give him, and your heart shall not be grieved when you give it to him, because that for this thing Yahweh your Elohim shall bless you in all your works, and in all that you put your hand unto. For the poor shall never cease out of the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide open unto your brother, to the poor, and to your needy and the land. The first key to a steward, a faithful steward, is to be generous and open handed towards those in need. Can't have closed fists. Can't be selfish. Trying to hold on and hoard your money, knowing darn well you have enough of it, right? But you see your brother sitting right next to you, you won't even lift a finger. But you call him your brother, and then you also say you love the Most High. You love God, right? I don't think so. We're learning how you can handle money in a way that honors Yahweh, right? It's about stewardship, being a steward, a good steward. Wealth is a tool given to us by Yahweh to build his kingdom and serve others on earth. The first part is be generous and open handed to those in need. If you have it, if it is in your heart and in your mind to do so, and it's you have sufficient enough to help them, right? Okay, let me not get ahead of myself. Let's go to Proverbs 13:22. Here we go. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. So it says a good man leaves an inheritance for his grandchildren. What do you have to do to make sure that your grandchildren will have an inheritance? I mean, you look at the Jewish people and they'll tell you flat out that the way they keep wealth in their families is that everybody leaves an inheritance to their children. And the inheritance keeps on being passed down. The wealth gets passed down. So each generation, it just gets wealthier. Is this being practiced today with those who say they love the Most High, that love Jehovah with all their heart, their mind, and their soul, and with all their might? It's hardly ever seen. It's talked about, but it's hardly ever seen. Proverbs 8:28 and 20. 28 and verse 20. Boom. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. A faithful person will be richly blessed. A faithful man, though, shall abound, shall be abundance in blessings. But it says, he that makes haste to be rich shall not be innocent. Trying to get to that bag, doing everything you can to get to that money, serving money, and selling people out for a loaf of bread or a bowl of lentils or for a pair of shoes. because you want the money so bad, you hungry. What else can we learn about stewardship? Luke 16. And we're going to reverse verse 10. He that is faithful in that which is least is faithful also in much. He that is unjust in the least is unjust also in the much. What does that say? What does that mean? If you could manage a little bit, you're faithful with just a little bit, and you do that over a period of time, when you get the much, it's like it's like clockwork. The principle doesn't change. If you get this right on this level, once you get the wealth added to you or the riches added to you, you would know how to manage much. You are faithful with much. If somebody sees that you can handle, let's say, 100,000, and you're faithful, you have integrity with a little bit, they would look at that and say, well, if he can handle 100,000, well, shoot, let's throw 1 million at him because he knows how to manage it on this level. Let's He has the integrity to manage it. Just give him 1 million. The principle doesn't change, but you have to start here first. Okay, that was verse. Okay, verse 10. I didn't put it up on the screen. There you go. Let's go to Matthew 25. Be a steward with little, so that way when you get much, the principle never changes. It works the same. It's just on a magnified level. If you haven't handled wealth before, if you haven't handled money before, it's just like somebody hitting the lottery. I don't have to tell you what happens next, right? We all know what happens when somebody hits a large sum of money. 25, we're going to do verse 14 to 30 of Matthew 25. Okay? This is the parable of the talents. Okay? Follow me for a second, because this is also about stewardship. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And unto one he gave 5, to another he gave 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability. So this man traveling into a far country, he left some goods with these men. One with 5, one with 2, and one with 1. But he knew their ability before he gave it to them. Okay? 5, 2, 1. Follow me. And straightway he went on his journey. Verse 16. Then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same and made them other 5 talents. So he doubled it. Now he got 10. And likewise, he that had received 2, he also gained another 2. So they got 4. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. You see, this is about money. Remember, the man gave according to their ability. Or else, why would he give one 5 and the other 2 and the one 1? He knew their abilities already. But he gave the one 1 and he went to go bury it in the ground. He hid it. I'm pointing out the attitude, the mind. Here we go. And after a long time, the Lord, the Adon of those servants, comes and reckons with them, counts. He starts to count with them. Okay, reckons. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought the other 5, saying, Lord, you delivered unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained besides them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, Well done, you good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter you into the joy of your Lord. Were we just talking about a man who's faithful in little? How he's faithful in much? Okay. 22. He also that had received 2 came and said, Lord, you delivered unto me two talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, Well done, my good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you rule over many things. Enter you into the joy of your Lord. Did you see a difference in the response between the one with the 10 and the one with the 4 talents? No. They both said the same thing. He didn't say because the one with the 10 did better than the one with the 4. No, he got the same response from his Lord. Well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a few. All right. Then he which had received the one came and said, Oh boy, Lord, I knew that you are a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not trod. And I was afraid and went and hid my talent in the earth. Lo, there you have that is yours. He gave him back the 1 talent. His Lord answered and said unto him, You wicked and slothful servant, you knew that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. I, hello, I am the one who owns these fields, right? I'm paying you, right? Okay, here we go. You ought therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I shall have received mine with usury. Usury just means interest. Okay? Take therefore the talent from him, and give it unto him which has 10 talents. For unto everyone that has shall be given. For unto everyone that has shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But from him that has not shall not be taken away even that which he has. Verse 30. And cast you the unprofitable servant into outer darkness. There should be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you really slowed down to read this? There's banking terms in here. We're talking about doubling the talents, getting a profit off the talents. This is business terminology. Of course, he didn't reap what he sowed. He didn't have to sow anything. He's a businessman. He went on a long trip, which shows you that this guy had some type of wealth and left these three men in charge. So the parable of the talents teaches us to invest and multiply what we're. It's multiplication. Then we read that all the way in Genesis that you should multiply. This is about multiplication, not addition. Okay? He wants you to multiply. When you plant seeds in the ground, do you just get one? Or do you get multiple fruit? Or do you get multiple grain? Huh? Do you get one cattle? You get multiple. It's multiplication. Let's read Matthew 19. And we're going to do verse 16. And we're going to read to 24. And behold, one came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do that I might have eternal life? And he said unto him, Why call you me good? Why do you call me good? There's none good but one, and that is Jehovah. But if you will enter into life, keep commandments. Keep the commandments, right? This ain't keep the commandments in Matthew, right? Okay. And he said unto him, Why call you me good? Let me see. So we read that in 17. Let's go to 18. He said unto him, Which? Which ones? Which commandment? And Yeshua said, You shall not do murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness. Honor your father and mother. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. All of these above are you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Okay? The young man said unto him, All these things have I kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? What do I lack? Yeshua said unto him, If you will be perfect, go. If you want to be so perfect, go and sell that you have and give it to the poor. And you shall have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful. You see that word sorrow again? For he had great possessions. Then Yeshua said unto his disciples, surely, truly I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again, I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the kingdom of Yah. This rich young ruler had to do one thing. The test was that he had to sell everything to the poor and follow him. But he couldn't do it. He went away very sorrowful. Okay, let's do First Timothy 6, and I'll give you my final takeaway here shortly. Thank you for bearing with me. I know it's a lot, but again, this is not it's not a simple topic. Yeah, I could have thrown some things together. It took like 30 minutes, but I really wanted you to understand. Okay. First Timothy chapter 6, verse 17 says, charge them that are rich in this world, that they be not high minded, nor trust in uncertain riches, but in the living Elohim, who gives us richly all things to enjoy. They that do good, they that be rich in good works, ready to distribute, willing to communicate, laying up in store for themselves a good foundation against the time to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life. So it's instructing you, it instructs the wealthy to be rich in good deeds, to be generous, and somebody who's willing to share. If you go back up, it told you not to store up riches for yourselves, treasures for yourselves. Wealth is to serve people. We started out in Genesis with dressing and keeping the garden. What was man doing? He was a steward of Yah's garden. So, one, we are to serve with that. You're serving others and his kingdom is what we just read. Let's go to First John chapter 3, 16 to 18. Hereby perceive we the love of Yah, because he laid down his life for us. And we ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. But whoso has this world's good and see his brother have need and shuts up his bowels of compassion from him, how dwells the love of Jehovah in him? It's a good question, isn't it? So you see, true love is demonstrated by helping others with your resources, not telling somebody, there's a scripture somewhere, to go pray, to go pray when you have the ability to help a brother or a sister. That is what stewardship is. You might be able to pull somebody out of the fire today. So, Yeshua demonstrated the ultimate form of stewardship. Because remember, it said, though he was rich, he became poor, so that through his poverty, he might become rich. He didn't have to become rich. It goes like this, right? It goes like this. So the Messiah became poor, so you can become rich, right? Have you ever heard the expression that if a rich man gives all his money to the poor, that in the course of 3 to 5 years, he will have all his wealth back and the poor will be poor again because they lost it all? That was the same thing the Messiah did. He was already rich. He became poor so that way you could become rich. But I'm pretty sure the Messiah has access to his wealth and riches. He knows how to get it, right? We see that when he was on earth, that wealthy people gave to his ministry. He also had a treasury behind him. Matthew, Joanna, Zacchaeus, they all advanced the kingdom on earth. And it was all put into the treasury. And I'm guessing the one person that we all know is Judas betrayed him for what? Hmm? Silver. And if I remember correctly, he's 60 pieces of silver. And what was Judas in charge of? Hmm. He was in charge of the money. If you read Judas's accounts, he had a big problem with that. So I just thought I'd share that with you. So he was rich. He became poor, so that way we might become rich. He didn't condemn wealth, right? Rather, he showed us how it should be used to advance the kingdom. Yeshua had the supporters like Matthew, Joanna, and Zacchaeus, okay? And we know that there was a treasury behind them, and they used their resources to help his mission, okay? Final takeaway: money is not evil. Money is not the problem. The problem is how we view and use money. If we make it our master, it will lead us into sin and destruction. But if we see it as a tool for stewardship, to serve Yahweh and bless others, it becomes a powerful means of advancing his kingdom. Question: are you serving money or are you using money to serve Yah? Like, comment, and subscribe for more biblical insights and truths. Comment below if you have any questions. And I'm out. Shalom.